Jody Forson! Jody Forson! Welcome.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Fourth season has returned! Suddenly, the food in the air smells a little better. The weather feels a little nicer. The sun on your skin, the cool breeze, the warm carpet under your toes, or the cold hardwood under your toes, depending on what kind of surface your toes are in, right? The toasty socks around your toes. Everything is a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little more majestic. All is right in the world because I got a push notification from @ByNateTaylor. And what did it say? It said Jody Forson is in the locker room. Guys, we've never been more back.
I'm just going to say, I think it's appropriate. Oh, this is going to get me in trouble. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him and ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The prodigal son has returned. Jody Forson is back. That may not be theologically accurate.
Nate, is that the most exciting scoop of your career? Would you say? Was that the biggest scoop of your career?
Jody Forson just walked by me.
It definitely is. So surprising that I almost thought, is that Jodie Foster?
Man, you know
it's
what?
It's a practice squad deal for Jody Forson, for the record. For now.
I look, I'm gonna, before anyone's like, oh, you know what? If people don't understand what a big deal this is to us, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just here for the 04 personnel sets where Andy Reid's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go 5 wide with Rashee Rice and 4 tight ends. How do you line up against that?
What do you want Sky Moore out there? We want a guy who can block a little bit, and it's either Sky Moore or Jody Forson.
Hey, Seth, what if we did it in the red zone? Just to continue our shits and giggles play sheet.
It sounds tremendous. I am happy. I'm happy. Now, we could go negative Nelly and say, what's this say about Jared Wiley?
That's a question. Maybe if you're a member of the Hendershot family, maybe it's not ideal.
I think it's more.
If you're a member of the Hendershot family, that's true. And I don't think it says anything about Wiley. He's a rookie.
Developmental red shirt.
Yep.
We don't have to play you season. And also, we're trying to win an unprecedented third Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah.
Any margin.
Yes.
Any margin. We're going to squeeze it out, boys. We're going to squeeze it like that pimple that's been nagging at you for 2 weeks.
Good
Squeeze
Lord.
it.
Here's what
Tucker is asking if it's going to ruin the offensive line fourth tight end role, and Tucker asked about Wanya Morris. That's starting left tackle Wanya Morris to you. Really this bodes poorly for Kingsley Suamataia because he's not getting on the field anymore because we got Jody Forson back. Body move for Jody Forson.
Here's what I would say. Yeah.
Sixth offensive lineman Jody Forson.
Yeah, well-known digging out that 9-tech is Jody Forson, or 5-tech even. He'll take on a 34 defensive end. He'll just plow the road. Jody Forson or Tyson Jackson? Who wins? I don't know.
Let me provide just the faintest context in the godforsaken possibility that someone listening to the show hasn't been here since 2019. Jody Forson, as a converted wide receiver out of Valdosta State, became a back-to-back training camp darling in a way that we were genuinely enamored by. Yeah. In the years since, he's had some great moments. He's caught some touchdowns. He's had a lot of injuries. I earlier today was chatting with a reporter in Miami who did not have a lot of highlights to share from his training camp in Florida. That's not important. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter in this house. I want people. however silly you thought it was for people to get excited about Kareem Hunt last week, I want you to put it now into this context. But this show developed a real love affair for Jody Foster / Fortson, and and Nate's interactions with him have always been of the utmost purity and I believe appreciation.
Elite.
And it's just fun to have him back. Maybe it puts Jared Wiley back a little bit in the red shirt role if he ends up on the active roster some. Peyton Hendershot was a special teamer at on the sticker for the trade price. It just said ST, not TE at the time. So, we'll see where that ends up. But that's why we are all so excited about the fourth-ish tight end on this Chiefs roster returning home as the prodigal son. It comes from a pure and genuine and, of course, silly place.
And this is just another reminder that they are this era's version of what we previously saw with the New England Patriots. Sure, man. Go get your money in Miami. Yeah. And then come on back if it doesn't work out. Hey, you know what? Take 8 months off, and then in Thanksgiving, pick up the phone, because you know what time it is. Hey, you may have kicked a woman on video, but why don't you come on back? Why don't you just...
Not Jody Fortson. He would never.
Right. Obviously, that's in the context of Kareem.
Just to be clear.
Look, they may have had some surveillance footage of you. And look, I know Clark Hunt wouldn't agree with it, but why don't you just come on down? Why don't you just come on down? And
oh, man, you can't make me accidentally talk about Kareem Hunt's presser from Wednesday.
Please do it.
Is that when that was?
Do it. Yeah, do it. The man hasn't, according to Kareem Hunt, as of Wednesday midday, said he hadn't talked to Clark Hunt, and I thought that was strategic on both ends.
Yeah. I don't want to spend a lot of time here. I think there's a lot of more interesting things. I will say that on the announcement of the practice squad signing, I thought we were very generous towards Kareem Hunt in the lights of his comments immediately following the incident, and it wasn't as reflective as it could have been at the time. He could have maybe taken on shared a little more about the lessons, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. Okay. Right. Am I speaking out of turn, Nate? I haven't heard you disagree yet. Okay.
I mean, your opinion is...
There were a couple of layups I think he could have taken that could have put a couple points on the board for him. It was fine. He seems very happy to be back, very appreciative of Andy Reid. Maybe some light tampering at Patrick Mahomes' wedding. That was referenced.
But I mean, this is just another example of hey, you might go somewhere else, but guess who scored that touchdown on Sunday? His name is Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay,
that's so true.
Hey, so why don't you go get that? Why don't you get that guaranteed money
reunion
via the signing bonus, and then why don't you come on back a year later when we check notes still need a receiver? So why don't you just do that? I mean, the Patriots were criminally associated with the idea of letting someone else pay you to come on back to then help them win Super Bowls. The Patriots did it really, really well in the early 2000s.
And that's why, folks, don't you dare throw away the jersey you already have of 2025 number 3 wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because he went to Buffalo and got, I think, less money. He's coming back.
He might come back. Hey, trade deadline in a month.
2028 deep threat Tyreek Hill.
Yes. Hey, bud, come on back and get a ring here. Remember what that was like? Remember what winning was like?
Let's do. You're more of a pure deep threat guy now. Maybe not what quite you used to be. Let's do 10, 15 mil a year.
Late career Deshaun Jackson, maybe. Just put you on a straight line.
Just nothing but a 9-route merchant. Just go nuts. I like with regards to the Fortson thing. It's just a fun storyline to follow.
It's fun.
He's not going to see as many snaps as Kareem Hunt in all likelihood. And by in all likelihood, I mean
yes.
It ain't going to happen unless Hunt just completely blows it or gets injured.
Right.
If I had to bet my life on Jody Fortson making at least one catch, that we're all like, yay, for one reason or another, whether it's red zone,
stop saying
touchdown,
stuff like
whatever.
I'd bet my life. But if you were going to,
if I were going to, versus him not having any catches, I'd bet on the one that makes us go like, why hasn't he done more?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a variety of reasons we asked that question for years, but it's exciting to see people manage to stay in the league, come back. That's multiple Super Bowl winner Jody Fortson to you, or is it just the one Super Bowl he left?
His Pro Football Reference page gives him 1. Wikipedia gives him 3. By the rosters that if he was on IR, he got a ring, right? So I think
he was on he was on IR last year. People remember.
Yeah.
If people don't remember, I should say. And then I think he was practice squad in 19.
That's right.
And then really became an actual, legitimate full-fledged player in 2021. So he's been there ever since this podcast has existed, whether in this context or obviously in the previous iteration of Times Ours. But just to put a button on it, yes, I saw him did a double take, and then this doesn't happen every day, children, but it's not every day that the athlete approaches you.
Love that. Love to hear that.
So it was me and Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest, and we were like, Jody's back? And I think if certain Chiefs staff members weren't in the locker room, he may have hugged both of us. Instead, it was a warm, gentle handshake. A nice welcome back. The smile on his face. Oh, the smile on mine. I mean, he's a locker room guy. He's automatically locker room guy.
Glue guy. Automatic glue guy. Oh,
yes.
So good.
Yes.
Really just makes me happy.
Yeah. So today was his first practice back. And I imagine, much to Seth's point earlier, he will be in a 3 to 4 tight end set that puts at least 3 linebackers on the field, and somebody's getting exposed.
Yep.
So
it's a beautiful thing. It's very fun. One not fun little development that I know you don't have the entire encyclopedia on here, Nate, is that Mike Dana didn't practice today.
Yes.
He was a full participant yesterday, and then before pressers today, I believe the Chief said everyone was expected to go today, and then Mike Dana didn't. In whatever Cliff's Notes version you got, anything there that we ought to be aware of? Certainly the Chargers are incredibly banged up. If Mike Dana's not out there, you think the Chiefs could probably survive, but the Chargers will run the ball right at you, and DE3 has been a journey so far. So where are you at on Dana right now?
Yeah, so this sets up for Felix Eneduke Uzama to start against the Los Angeles Chargers if Mike Dana is not available. So I just want to keep that in mind as well. Yes, he was expected to practice today, didn't. It's a calf injury. I think the calf's been bothering him over the last couple days. He was a full participant yesterday, so it does make it interesting. I looked back last week. He was on the injury report with a quad injury, but obviously started, played, didn't have any issues, played the entire game. So something to monitor. The Chiefs don't think it's anything major, but as we've seen, with a certain quarterback in Pittsburgh, man, is that calf injury still minor? He's still limited.
Or a certain running back in Germany, formerly in San Francisco. Calf stuff freaks me out, man. Like
it does.
The calf bone is connected to the Achilles bone, is what I remember learning. I was homeschooled, but
yeah. So again, the Chiefs don't think it's anything serious. They've been aware of it for the last couple days, following the game against the Falcons, but. Calves are tricky, and to that point, we will keep you abreast. Before I let you talk, Seth, Anita has suggested that at some point, in case of an injury to a particular position in the secondary, can they bring Dirty Dan back home?
Oh man, I saw Breland. I thought someone was talking about Breland Speaks. And I was like, oh, Breland Speaks had a good USFL run or whatever. Got to training camp, I think, with the Jags. Yeah, bring back Breland Speaks. Dirty Dan wasn't what I was thinking about. Seth, your thoughts?
I think that safety is one position they're pretty set at. Although I saw Chamari Connor popped up on the injury report as well.
That's right.
He's limited, I think.
What, really?
After maybe his best game as a pro. where they seem to really be finding a role for him on the defense in terms of that box safety kind of big slot, but not really because he's not playing man coverage on receivers. Which, by
Right.
the way, Spags, I appreciate knowing that you're an Only Weird Games watcher, and you heard my angst throughout the entirety of the offseason. I was like, please don't do that. Please don't. Just don't. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, you know.
Full participant today, by the way. He did show up on the injury report with a heel,
Cool.
but he was a full participant.
Okay. And so, and he has been just as much as multiple guys in the linebacker room and the secondary, a big part of how well they've played against the run, which is really, that's a weird sentence to say early in a Chiefs season. It's like, Ben Solak tweeted during the Chiefs-Falcons game that, how did he phrase this with the way Spags is like with run defense? It's like, every now and then Steve Spagnuolo just hits a giant button that says run defense, and the Chiefs are suddenly good at run defense. And that really is how it is, because this is the first year, like even last year when the defense was awesome, and it was awesome early in the year, even then the run defense, people were like, oh, I don't know, guys. I think it's going to come back to bite us. And we were all like, but it won't, is the thing, because in the playoffs, he's going to hit that giant red button that says run defense, and suddenly the Chiefs will be good at run defense. And lo and behold, that's what they did by and large. It was great. It's weird to see it this early in the season, but Ja'Marr Connor's been a big part of that when he doesn't arrive too hot. It's something he fixed a little bit against Atlanta. That's the first game. It's the first game I can remember him not going screaming by
Looney Tunes style, like the sound effects and everything.
As we call that, the Willie Gay Jr., where like when it hits, it's unbelievable. And look, I would have paid Willie. I'd have paid him that $5 million. I wish he was still in Kansas City. But every now and then he'd go blowing by someone. And you're like, man, I'm kind of almost glad he missed that tackle because I think he would have killed that guy. So it was good to see him fix that.
Now, Seth, do you think we could suggest via this platform that maybe Ja'Marr Connor on a tight end or two occasionally?
I think at this point, it can't. Justin Reed isn't having great results in man coverage on tight ends. Let's let him. He can do box safety stuff. He hits hard. He's an enforcer. Let's see. Let's see. I like Brian Cook as the deep guy. He's got by far the most deep speed of the three. I think maybe not by. Well, no, he's got better downfield speed than Connor. All three of them though. All three of them had hits against the Falcons. I was like, good God. Like it really, upon rewatch, if you rewatch that, like Cook came up once on one of the hits I wrote about with Bolton on one of the tackles he made. And Bolton's like got him wrapped and is like in the process of bringing him down. And Cook is like, you know what I could do is watch one of the best tacklers in the NFL finish, or I could throw my entire body into both of them. And he did that at full speed. And I was like, man, this team looks miserable to play.
Did you notice that Bijan Robinson is now has a shoulder injury?
Yeah, I did.
He's got a bad case of the Bolton hurt me-itis. Like, I mean, that was a terrible word, but I don't care.
No, it's okay. It's a HIPAA violation, but I've been suffering from that for years now, actually.
Yes.
Let's go from the greatest tight end in Chiefs history to the maybe second greatest tight end in Chiefs history, from Jody Fortson to Travis Kelce. I guess, 1-2, 1A, 1B is really how this show views them.
Totally fair.
Seth, you look at the offense a little bit, and you can look closer at Kelce next week, given the need. We'll judge that at this point. But one Nate Taylor took his pen to theathletic.com, a.k.a. the new nytimes.com/athletics.
The mothership.
Worked on a little column out there, aptly titled, "No, Travis Kelce is not the problem." That may have actually been the first lines out of the story, now that I think about it, Nate. But what did you look at? What did you find? And where has the discourse lost its way regarding Travis Kelce?
Ooh, buddy, how much time do we have? I'll be quick. Every time, and I hear this more times than probably most fans do, given the job I have, but there's a lot of times where we try to get answers, and that there's some secrecy to all of this. It's, football's very militaristic. Why would we tell you why we did that or what we could have done? Like we got to play another team, and it's vital importance to win territory over them. So a lot of times the coaches will just default to, I got to watch the film. I don't know. I just he's asking me something honest. Watch film. That's usually the answer we get. But there's a reason why it's a cliche, is because there is like legitimate importance to it. And then when you match it up with the advanced metrics that we have, most notably next gen stats, I mean, it's helpful that I'm in a position where obviously I see Travis Kelce every day. I've watched all these training camp practices. That has to mean something. And then, of course, you have the games, and then you watch it on the All-22, and it's another – I didn't want to be too harsh, but it really did confirm to me, watching Kelce Monday and Tuesday specifically, spent a lot of time Tuesday watching all three games, and it really highlights what Seth was saying last episode, which is that Mahomes has weirdly just not been as effective as he could be in terms of getting Travis Kelce more involved when the opportunities are there. Now, some plays are not designed for him, and I think that's a little bit of a unusual experience for him because they now have Rashee Rice. They specifically designed so many plays for Rashee Rice, in particular against the Atlanta Falcons, that the times he was open, you either A, don't notice it, or the ball's out, or something's going wrong with Patrick. So via next gen stats, he's getting the same amount of separation on his routes on average that he did the year before and the years prior, and there's really nothing wrong. It's not like he can't get open. It's just for whatever reason the ball has not come. Yes.
A quick thing in terms of the next gen stats. One thing to keep in mind is that regardless of what you think of the methodology they utilize, and I'll be honest, not a big fan of it. For a variety of reasons that would be kind of boring to talk about, honestly. But it's
body and data tracking. Yes.
Right. But it's the same methodology that's been used in previous years. And that's where it becomes important for this particular topic. And I just wanted to break in with that just in case someone was like, oh, well, next gen, which I don't know if other people have the same problem with that I do. I probably just projected some stuff there. But it's the same methodology, and it's showing him getting some separation, getting a little bit open. And really, he's like, they called back like a 40-yard play, and, Mahomes could have thrown to him or Morris in the end zone. How different would the narrative be if he was averaging 45-ish yards a game and a touchdown and had a touchdown?
Yes.
It's 3 games. Well, I'm waiting one more week. But actually, now I don't even have to, because you took my job and watched film. Hey.
If only there had been people in a group chat asking you to do this for 3 weeks, Seth, giving you 3 chances to take that opportunity, and you decided to write about Nick Bolton.
The best part of all this is there's even a play, and I'm sure you probably saw it too, Seth, but there's on the play where Rashee Rice.
I probably saw it too.
Oh, come on!
I do watch the games.
Okay, so
I don't want to step on Seth's toes, but
perfect.
How dare you guys watch these guys play?
So Rashee Rice.
Until last year, I just looked at the stats, but now I actually do watch.
Well, now
I tell you what, it's really helpful. It's really helpful to watch the players.
It is crazy, isn't it?
It's You're so bizarre.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite responses. Like, do you watch the games? Like,
yes.
You know how impressive it would be if you didn't to get this close?
No, yeah, they would be. Can you imagine? In the year of our Lord 2024, I managed to build a modest career as a Chiefs analyst. Never watched a game. Wouldn't that be more impressive in a way? Or not even in a way. That would be more impressive.
Seth, there are dozens of people in national media currently pulling off that trick. So, Nate, what else did you see?
Yes. Here's an example of where I think I'll just say it. In 2022, maybe the decision is different. But there's a play, and I think the Chiefs somehow figured this out pretty quickly. When Rashee Rice scores his 13-yard touchdown, obviously they're using what Seth calls, and a lot of people like, we're playing off one route to create a route being open, right? So Juju Smith-Schuster, big body, just run straight in front of the guy, And then wherever the defender goes, just go the opposite way, Rasheed. And Rasheed does that. Wide open, catch, Yak King, touchdown. Woohoo. On the other side of the field is Travis Kelce in a one-on-one with Jesse Bates, who is dying, who is actively like, oh my God, I cannot cover this, man. I must hold him. There is no holding on the play. And Kelce is looking for the ball because he's like, A, I'm bigger than him. B, I just routed him up. And C, he's holding me, but I'm still kind of open. In the middle of the field, no second defender coming, no double team. They're playing, in layman's terms, they're playing single high man coverage. There might be a little bit of matching, but because the ball gets out so quick, it's hard to tell. But anyway, there's no like halo effect going on. Like Jesse Bates is in living hell trying to guard Travis Kelce. And maybe, again, if it's 2022, maybe Patrick says it's a one-on-one. I'm putting it in the middle of the field, and my guy is going up and getting it.
Yep.
But because they have Rashee Rice, it's still a touchdown. So there are opportunities. It's just you have to see how the game is playing out. And I think because this is so funny, because they figured out the matchups that were available in the red zone, they played off of them. So again, when Juju Smith-Schuster scores his touchdown, it's another rub, pick, whatever you want to call it. Justin Watson, as Seth calls it, screams at two DBs and hopes to never touch them. Obviously, the play is more designed. I think if you look at the play, it's really designed to see like, A, is it man versus zone?
Yep.
All right, we got it. Here's the crossing route. Here's a guy that I trust, big body, work in the middle of the field. Cool. If it's not there, maybe I throw it to the left side, which is a rookie receiver in Xavier Worthy, who also routes the living hell out of, I can't remember who that is on the other side, but like he's open too. And you can kind of tell on film because like Xavier Worthy's like, what the hell? Oh, touchdown. Okay. Like it's so funny to watch receivers sometimes be like, oh yeah, I got him. What the hell? Oh, There's my teammate. Oh, touchdown. Cool. Okay. Hey, touchdown. Yay.
Why didn't you throw me the? Oh, hey, cool. We scored. Like,
yes.
Yep.
On the other side of the field, as essentially Juju is crossing over the formation, it's another one-on-one in-man sort of match situation, and Travis Kelce is open for a 7-yard gain. No one cares because the ball goes to Juju Smith-Schuster, and Juju Smith-Schuster scores a touchdown. So for the first time in a long time in his career, Travis Kelce doesn't have to be the focal point, and he really hasn't been the focal point. But the athleticism is still there. He can still, be more productive if given the opportunity. And guess what? The Chargers are on the schedule. Just saying, with no Derwin James. God help him. But yeah, let's not say that the guy's overweight. Let's not say he's not
clearly
dedicated.
You know what?
It's crazy.
Out of shape, and not locked in are the two that make me want to just pull my own hair out. And I was glad that you name dropped Todd McShay in your story because it's the most irresponsible version of this I've seen yet. Jet setting, not in shape. Again, I think we talked about this. We may have talked about this 5 times already this year. He was there for every rep of training camp that he could possibly get.
Yes.
He's playing a huge percentage of plays. I think, certainly compared to last year, he missed week 1.
85. He's played 85% of the snaps, which was not the intended plan.
Right.
When they were talking to us in the offseason about like, we need to really manage Travis's body because he's going to be 35. Travis said, run me till the wheels fall off. And they really haven't done anything different.
Yeah.
So,
people like Todd McShay, who have been denigrating his physical shape or his desire to play football, people like Seth Keysor, I think have no place in an environment like this because of the irresponsible nonsense that they spew. Seth, your thoughts?
All someone has to do is turn on the film for 2 seconds.
But it's hard. NFL Pro exists now, but it's hard. I gotta click 2 buttons.
And you can see.
I'm too busy reviewing college film to look at Travis Kelce and still be fast.
Kelce looks absolutely fine on film in terms of how he's running. And that's where, And so that's the first one. The whole like, well, he's
It's
out of shape.
$99. Can we get Todd
Tucker
McShay
D.
a
Franklin
free
said,
subscription?
Hey, somebody
Let's
give Todd McShay $99.
Let's comp a Chief in the North subscription for Todd McShay. How about that?
And that's so.
You know what?
that's-
I'll pay for it. I don't want to take money out of Seth's kids' pockets. That's $1 per kid at $12 a year. But
Can we give one to Rodney Harrison too, who also?
yeah,
He's too busy.
I'd have a couple.
He's too
I'd have a couple
busy.
emails to send to Rodney Harrison.
Too busy.
Yeah.
Too busy. What are you talking about? Football.
It's really like the whole too busy thing or the whole not dialed in thing. In my opinion, those types of cliches are what is utilized when someone is being lazy with how they're analyzing a player.
Mhm.
Because it's really easy to say, and it's impossible to prove or disprove, which is a lot of people's favorite kind of argument. Just say something that kind of sounds, it's profound and technically meaningless. What do you mean by not dialed in? What do you think he's falling asleep during meetings? You think he's what? Like the whole thing is stupid. And it's an embarrassment to how the sport is covered because, and it actively makes fanhood worse because even though people try not to be affected by it, they are. Because the number of people that I've had say something to me is not tiny, where it's like, oh, Kelce is like, it's like he doesn't want to be there. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? It looks like he doesn't want to be there. I've got news for you. He doesn't have to be there.
Damn right.
He's wildly wealthy, could be doing something significantly easier and way more fun. He obviously wants to be there because he's there. Okay? And to say, well, he looks like he doesn't want to be there. One of the most powerful questions in the world you can ask, and this applies to many, 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 many areas of life, is what do you mean by that? Asking someone to provide a definition in their argument can often find where they're coming from. Because what they ultimately mean, well, he looks out of shape. Well, you can easily debunk that because, well, what does out of shape mean? Well, that means someone is physically out of shape in that they can't run as fast as they used to be able to, or they get tired more quickly. Hey, we could easily prove or disprove that in a sport where people are running around for 60 minutes. Hey, let's look. He looks exactly the same as he did last year. Well, we know he's not out of shape then. We can verifiably prove that. So then we say something like, oh, he's just not dialed in. What the crap does that mean? And that, I just... It's so annoying. And okay, well, what do you mean by that? Well, he doesn't look focused. How so? There's your second one. What do you mean by that? And how so? What's your evidence for that? It's perfectly okay to ask people that question. It's okay. And if they can't provide it, then maybe there's someone who's normally worth listening to. I'm sure Todd McShay is worth listening to on many topics. But if you can't provide evidence for why you think what you think, your opinion on that particular subject doesn't matter to me. Because even someone who's an expert in a field, they can explain to me a couple of reasons to believe it. Just a couple. So I'm sorry. That annoys me because it makes football discourse actively worse.
Yes.
And in the year of our Lord 2024, that's how I'm using that apparently every time I say 2024 today. It is a disservice to fans who have NFL Pro at their fingertips to put forth this stupid, lazy nonsense for purposes of a soundbite to just say vague, meaningless crap. So anyway, that annoys me. I don't know if you could tell.
Yeah. Quarterback play matters and coaching matters. And you can't get the ball if the coaching is not really designed for you to get the ball, or the quarterback is just, in a little bit of I won't say a slump, but just like, just not playing as well as he could.
He had a bad game and a half.
Yeah,
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. So, and also, the him on the sideline looking sad is something that we don't normally see, which I think also led to some of the discourse because NBC did catch him in a very honest moment of like, man, I'm really running out here. I'm really just getting cardio out here, man. He ain't throwing me the ball, dog.
We don't see that very often because we don't get ISO shots of people who aren't Travis Kelce very often.
True.
It's an exhausting place to be.
And the best part is, he's explained in New Heights, of course, that it's more important to him than to win right now versus stats. And that's obviously where he is in his career. And that's definitely understandable. But also, I just think much of the criticism should probably be with the coaching staff. But is it fair to criticize them when they are running, again, shits and giggle plays in the third game of the regular season when every game is going to be more important in November, December, and January? Because when the calendar turned to January. My man turned into a superhero. And I just think it's hilarious that like people forget that. We're in the same calendar of our Lord's 2024, Seth, and people forgot that against Kyle Hamilton, my man went 11 for 11. 11 targets, 11 catches. Get out my face.
We are 7 months removed from Travis Kelce being matched up with the greatest coverage linebacker of his generation and getting like 10 yards of separation from him before the pick. Sure, but yeah, sure. Why not? Whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you seem to have so many Travis Kelce opinions, Seth. I'd suggest you write an article about him, but instead you write about Nick Bolton, who we'll talk about after the break.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
All right, Seth, you're on about Nick Bolton. Actually, and you did spell his name wrong in the first paragraph where you spelled it Fred space Warner. But look, I mean, it's a big game for Nick Bolton. It's a big paycheck coming for Nick Bolton. Let's go. Let's get this man his money, right? What happened?
Hey, Nick Bolton went out, played a great game against Atlanta. Good on him. And here's the deal. I really get bothered more than I should, more than a decade into this career, for as much as we joke around here. Splaticals question. Nick or Seth, was Nick Bolton dialed in for the Atlanta game? Good God. I love, man, our commenters are funny. It bothers me the way discourse can go, and it especially bothers me when people take what I've written and looked at and worked on and utilize it to either to infer things that I'm not trying to say.
Welcome to the media, baby.
It shouldn't bother me at this point. And sometimes it's my fault because I'm not careful enough with my phrasing, and I bear responsibility for that. But
maybe this is somebody else's tweet here about not currently engaging in good faith. Interesting.
Only when I'm talking to you, Josh. And so
poor faith for thee, but not for me, I suppose.
Exactly. And so the thing with Bolton is that I wrote an article after week 1 where he played really awful. And I stand by the fact that he played really awful, and not just in a way that was like, oh, well, he's out of shape. Oh, no, he played badly. He was jumping routes he shouldn't. He was out of position, and he was doing things that were a problem in the playoffs last year. For what it's worth, I didn't see Atlanta once try to isolate him in space. Although maybe arguably with a little screen off motion to Bijan Robinson, which, hey, he grabbed Robinson in space and hooked him to the ground, and that was awesome. Now, that's a different kind of isolated in space as some of the things that the Ravens did to him. I felt like it was important to really dive into how he had a good game, not just to like, oh, this is corrective. So people know he's actually awesome, but because that game is demonstrative of, hey, if you use Nick Bolton this way, you're going to get good results, generally speaking. And we're going to come back to that at some point this year when he is the only linebacker on the field in dime and gets sent on, some kind of either man coverage on a running back in space or
Did you hear what Chris Jones said today?
I heard what Chris Jones said. He said that stuff about Hitch too. And so I'm all these caveats. He played awesome. He had multiple good run stops. What if I told you that play to end the game was like the 8th best Nick Bolton play of the day? Because that wasn't a Nick Bolton play. That was a Leo Chanel play. And that's fine because Bolton did a great job executing his assignment. But that was a Leo Chanel, like, good God, Leo play, which is great. That was awesome. It's like, hey, this guy that weighs 50 more pounds than me, I'm just going to shove him 3 yards backward and see what happens. And it worked.
Can I tell you what I hear? Obviously, when you watch all 22, there's no audio, kids. So to entertain myself, I include audio in my own analysis that never gets put out in public. Because why would I do that?
That's the least surprising thing I've ever learned about you, and it rules.
So would you like for me to unveil my Leo Chanel voiceovers.
Yeah, very much so.
To certain defensive plays that require Leo to do unhuman things. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the man who told us literally the day after he was drafted by the Chiefs.
He tried to warn people.
What did he say, Seth? What did he tell us?
Violence and physicality. He is addicted to hitting people. He tried to warn Bijan Robinson 2 years ago.
Yes,
he was like, dude,
I have an addiction. It's called hitting.
Which you have to be a little crazy to be an NFL player. Like,
true, especially at that position. Yeah, especially at that position. So,
but the way that he plays it
is incredible.
Is above and beyond the call of crazy.
So, here we go. If you're of a certain age, ladies and gentlemen, there's one internet clip above all the other internet clips, okay, from a comedic standpoint. So, sometimes, similar to a play, like 4th and inches, 4th in the game, I just hear guys lining up. I hear Kurt checking the play so I can tell his offensive lineman where we're going. We're going check, going left. And before the ball snap, I just hear, Leo! No!
That is actually 100% perfect. That's what we should all, because what I was just thinking about the above and beyond of crazy that he brings is that that you can, not an exaggeration, you can put him on the field at any time, offense, defense, or special teams, and you can say, Leo, your job is to run in the direction of the other team as hard and fast as possible. The details you'll figure out. But offense, defense, special team, you're running at them. And he goes, got it, coach. Leo Chanel! I love that. I think that's amazing. That's fantastic.
That is amazing.
It helps that Leroy Jenkins starts.
It's right there.
It's
right there. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So, I can't believe we got this far without realizing that.
That is beautiful.
Genius.
So that was a Leo play.
Yes.
Doesn't mean Bolton didn't do a good job, but he had multiple other snaps where he did a better job. They really they gave the outside zone looks Atlanta favors fits, which is something they've struggled with in the past. But Bolton was part of that. He had a snap where he clubbed the lineman out of his way and managed to fill up 2 gaps, one with him and one with the body of the offensive lineman he'd clubbed to the side, which was terrific. Yep. And then he rolled in. He kept tight against the left tackle. It was great. Great play. He finished strong. He had multiple good run stops. Here's what I really like the most, though. I'm looking at it right now. You can't see it, but I can. The Bijan Robinson screen where they kind of use that cheat motion that everyone uses now because you can be running horizontally at the snap. And they try to get Robinson in space. Bolton reads it well. They have 2 blockers in front, and it's just him versus Robinson in space. And he just closes, wraps up. And Bijan's like, hey, you know what? I'm pretty strong. And wow, this guy is not letting go of me. Okay. And then he whipped him to the ground, which was hilarious and apparently a roughing the passer. But, he actually whipped him to the ground harder than Chris Jones whipped Kirk Cousins to the ground.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Way harder. Because Jones was more like, oh, no, sorry, dude. But whatever. That was great to see. He had a couple of decent zone drops where he wasn't jumping underneath routes the way that he was against the Ravens and to an extent against the Bengals too. He just looked like he was playing more under control, which when you have some physical limitations in terms of your change of direction and stuff, you have to be on point. And it seemed like he was. So I wrote about that. It was fun to see, fun to watch. There was the third down sack of Kirk Cousins. Look who's standing in the passing lane when Kirk tries to go to his second read. That's his I'd throw right there. But there's a big old Nick Bolton in the way. And those are the things that you want to see. So I wanted to write about it partly just for fairness of discourse. Which is really, really, really overestimating my impact on any of that. But the last
I think it's underestimating the impact of order of release, because I don't think that a good story or a negative story after week 1 and a positive story after week 3 evens out. It's all momentum. It's all vibes. So I want to tighten us up here a little bit so we can get through some of the Chargers stuff.
Yes.
And you can read and follow along and see those plays. The Bijan one you just described, well, to me at least, I think was the most un-Nick Bolton, good Nick Bolton play I've seen in a long time. Like, that's just not closing speed, sideline to sideline speed that we've really seen from him very often. So, as the button on this, people can go watch along. That's what I said was true. It wasn't intentionally funny. If you laughed, it's because you laugh at true things. Go read along, mnchiefsfan.substack.com. Where would you put the through 3 weeks conversation around Nick Bolton to this point, to summarize it of where things stand right now, how we should be talking about Nick Bolton?
Yes.
One incredibly poor game, one kind of meh game, and one really good game. And so we're trending up. So I mean, he's on pace to look like Bobby Boucher in week 4. Like,
are you saying he's human? He could have good days and bad days and like days in between? What?
I mean,
I just wouldn't pay a human $15 million a year to play linebacker. Is just where I end up. I can't trust you guys. Let's talk about Chiefs Chargers. Let's talk about Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt on the active roster. We did hear from him. His introductory presser that we discussed briefly at the top. We don't need to do that again. Nate, he's on the active roster. Keontae Ingram was waived and assigned back to the practice squad, according to the aforementioned Matt Derrick. What's the workload going to be in his first full week, certainly, of being back in Kansas City? Is he going to get real touches?
Yes, I think so. I think if he gets through this week of practice healthy and no soft tissue injuries like a hamstring or calf, which is what you always worry about when a guy hasn't been with the team throughout training camp, preseason, and obviously the first few games. But yeah, I think he'll get a handful of snaps, somewhere I would imagine between, I should say touches. I think he'll get somewhere in the 8, maybe 10 range, depending on how it goes against the Chargers. As we should mention, Carson Steele, very much still in the mix. Probably going to be the starter yet again. Kareem Hunt can come off the bench and fill in when necessary. Obviously, Samaje Perine is still in his natural role as the third down back. So, what I've said before is you could. I think the Chiefs might give him a variety of runs just to see what looks the best in an NFL context for our Lord and Savior's 2024 season versus what we all remember back in the past. So you might get some stretch, some zone read, some gaps. I don't know, maybe run a counter or two, or you could just hand him the ball and tell him to run, straight through the teeth of the Chargers defense. There might be an occasional screen because he was a pretty good running back in space on short passes. So, I don't know if we'll get a ton of memories, but the fact that he's on the field will be a memory in and of itself because as he said, I do want to make this point, Josh, as he said in the presser on Wednesday, he did admit, which we kind of already knew, and I had written and reported previously, but it was nice for him to admit in front of the microphone that says, yes, I never thought I'd ever wear this uniform again. I never thought I'd be back here. Holy smokes. I think one of the best details he gave was the fact that not only did the environment feel the same because he was there for almost 2 full seasons, but he's like, man, even the facility smells the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So you don't usually get that level of detail from somebody who is really trying to collect all these things that are processing. So as I want to remind fans here, one of the most interesting little tidbits, factoids, footnotes of still one of the greatest football games I've ever seen in person. Memories that I won't forget for that sort of weekend that night is the last time Kareem Hunt played a game was the Chiefs-Rams 2018 spectacular, where give me a cigarette. My God, it was amazing. 54-51, the Rams win. Marcus Peters was involved. Come on. It's the only time, and Patrick even remembers this to this day if you talk to him. But Patrick says, look, I've only been sacked in the same game twice by one human being or Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
The game is just filled with stars, Hall of Famers.
Jared Goff.
Yeah. I was about to go down the list. Sammy Watkins, Todd Gurley. Nah, man, he went straight for Jared Goff.
Jared Goff quarterbacked half of the most entertaining football game of all time. I think that rules.
Hey, it would have been one of the best Chiefs wins of all time had Orlando Scandrick picked the ball off.
Orlando Scandrick.
And then Dan Sorensen gave up a touchdown to a tight end. So, hey, some things are still the same, kids. But look, despite all of that, it'll be in a different context. It won't be a primetime game. It won't be in the Rose Bowl. Was it in the Rose Bowl? Or was it? It was in the Coliseum. Excuse me. It was the Coliseum USC Stadium.
It's definitely weird.
Yeah. SoFi did not exist.
Not there yet, kids. No.
He will play against the Chargers in San Diego, or not San Diego.
Whoa! In Oakland. He'll be in Oakland,
California, Los Angeles. So, yeah, there you go. Jared Goff is also 2-0 versus Patrick Mahomes.
It's him and Brady, man. I mean, two great ones met in the Super Bowl that didn't include Mahomes.
Oh my god.
Seth, what are you interested in the running back rotation? I think most of the interesting stuff we can get to matchup wise here. Any curiosity about the Steele, P. Ryan, Hunt trio?
I like what they've asked P. Ryan to do in the passing game. He's shown talent there. He has his whole career. I'd love to see them fold him in more and more because he looks legitimately talented catching the ball. Like he adjusts to the ball well. He runs sharp routes. I'd like to see more of it. He had to run the ball more than I think he was probably planning on.
Did well though. Yeah.
Same yards per carry and same long as Carson Steele for whatever that's worth.
I would just I just don't think either of them are guys that are going to break an explosive play, and I don't think Hunt is either. But we'll see if he looks like he's just 0.2 of a second quicker, at least faster than Steele. Because if he is, then that could add a little pop to the run game and keep P. Ryan doing maybe what he's best at. And that's what I'm just kind of looking for. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not expecting 2018, 2019 Kareem Hunt to walk through that door because that is not a fair expectation for a running back.
Here's the state of the Chargers right now, friends. Joe Alt has not practiced this week. Joey Bosa has not practiced this week. Junior Colson has not practiced this week. Christian Fulton and Justin Herbert and Hayden Hurst have all been limited. Herbert has been like a late limited ad. It seems to me like we're heading to Taylor Heineke time in this game, but Herbert spoke to the media earlier this week. Sounds like he wants to try to play. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack is a full participant. He's just old. So he missed a practice yesterday. He's back now. It's not injury related - rest. It may as well say - old. And then Rashawn Slater has not practiced this week. Sorry, I didn't mean to give him Say again?
And Slater's a peck. He's out for sure.
Yes. So at this point, really, I think Slater, Bosa, Darius Davis also didn't practice today.
And we mentioned before about Derwin James suspended, not going to play.
Right. Derwin James suspended. Both starting tackles almost certainly not playing. Quarterback, flip a coin. I can think of games if I was the Chargers that I would be more excited to have Justin Herbert back there on a hurt foot with 2 backup tackles and Chris Jones doing the rest of the work on the other side. Personally, I've never won a national championship or been to a Super Bowl. I might err on the side of caution there with my franchise quarterback. Seth, where does that leave you right now, noting how banged up this Chargers team is?
I think Jim Harbaugh desperately wants to run the ball 40 times, and this gives him all that he needs to do it. They're in a tough spot, I think, because right now, Chiefs are 3-0, Chargers are 2-1, right?
Yes.
And the Chargers looked better than people expected coming out of the gate. But the running game has looked better in some ways, although a couple big runs by Dobbins, who, man, Chiefs, that might have been nice.
Yeah. We talked about him a little bit, I think.
But anyway, they've got a good running game. They're in a position, though, their defense is playing better, but now they're, that it's all contingent on James Bosa Mack. I mean, if I were them, okay, we're 2-1. If you lose to the Chiefs, and pulling Herbert is basically kind of conceding the game. Kind of.
Disrespectful to Taylor Heineke, who I'm pretty sure has won an NFL football game before, but not against the
I'm
Chiefs.
sure he has. But it's saying we are thinking more about the future that, I get it too, because it's a high ankle sprain. It's not going to get better until he rests. He's going to – we watched Mahomes. Mahomes looked more comfortable in the Super Bowl than he did in the AFC Championship with a high ankle sprain. But every game he tweaked it. And the only reason I think he looked a lot more comfortable in the Super Bowl was because he had 2 weeks rest. Like, you could see the difference. I guess I'd play the long game because I think they have a bye week right afterward.
Ooh, let me double check.
They have a week 5 bye. They might. The Chiefs is also very early this year, so I don't know if there's any.
I would at least consider it if I were them. But the problem for them, and I could see the
They
wheels
sure do.
spinning here.
You're right.
Wow,
it's
they
it's
do.
the Chiefs, and then it's an off week, and then it's the Broncos and Cardinals.
But
after
maybe
that.
their thought is, well, he's going to get rest either way. Our run game is a lot more effective when we have a cyborg. I really like Justin Fields. He's throwing the ball. And so I guess for me, I could see them thinking, though, we really don't want to be 2-2 with losing our first matchup to the Chiefs with
At
them
home.
4-0. Yeah, losing at home. I mean, which, let's face it, barring a really weird change in circumstance, there's going to be as many or more Chiefs fans there than Chargers fans.
Yeah, here's the one other Chargers take I'll give. As a long-term buyer of the Herbs-Harbs duo, I'm kind of buying stock in both of them. I've liked Herbert for a long time, and I kind of think the Harbaugh thing might work for a few reasons that we can get into more sometime if it becomes relevant. Do you guys remember who the first 3 games were for LA? Couple of wins and then they lost.
I do. It was
the Panthers and the team the Panthers beat.
and the Raiders.
That's what I'm saying. It was the Panthers and the team the Panthers defeated.
The Panthers without All-Pro Andy Dalton.
Correct.
Very different team.
Playoff participant Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
The Chargers
that guy was dropping. I watched a little.
Yeah, it was good. No, he played good
was
football.
throwing bombs out there. Those were incredible throws. Anyway, please keep going.
Yeah, no, the Panthers got a quarterback taller than me, and it was all of a sudden the offense opened up. They beat the Raiders.
Them trading Deontay Johnson to the Chiefs died because of Andy freaking Dalton. It's unbelievable.
You know what, Seth? I believe that you still may be able to get David Tepper to do something silly if you really tweak him just right. So I think that door should be open.
Possible. You know
they
what?
beat the Raiders.
Hey, David Tepper, you don't have the guts to trade Deontay Johnson to the Chiefs. You would never. Howard.
He might buy your town, though.
No, don't. You have the money to have me killed. I acknowledge it. Please don't.
Definitely. He could.
I'm
he
gonna
could
shut up now. Sorry, man.
Mr. Potter, your whole city up there right now. I mean, it could get bleak in wherever you are in Minnesota. They beat the Raiders and Chargers and then got doubled up by an undefeated Steelers team. I again do big picture think that this quarterback head coaching pairing is a really good one for a team to be building around. I think their record betrays them just a smidge, given what we've learned about the 2 teams they beat, and now they're super banged up. I will be taking the Chiefs to win 13-10.
No,
I am sticking to my guns. I'm gonna predict that on every platform. 13-10.
I have interesting information. Well, this is more of a theory than information.
Good
Travis Kelce, every other game, has like 5,000 yards against the Chargers.
True.
Yeah. Here's the problem. So last year in the early game, he had like 179 yards and a couple touchdowns. It was insane. But he didn't play in last year's final week.
Oh,
So does that count?
interesting.
Like, he voluntarily lowered his stats that game. I'm thinking that counts. And
I don't think it counts.
Nah. So that's I think we might be, man, I cannot even imagine what the conversation will be like with one more week with quiet Travis Kelce. I really
Seth. December 8th, 7:20 p.m. NBC. We'll see Travis Kelce against the Chargers then.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Primetime, baby. Primetime,
Yep.
Travis Kelce. Get Derwin James back out there. Travis is sad that he doesn't get to do it against Derwin James again.
Yeah.
I think it's one more week. Sorry, guys.
He's gonna wait and just call it a day. The Chargers have really tried to revamp a bunch of things. A lot of their success on defense has been contingent on getting better pressure on Mahomes than other teams do. Without Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack can still play. They've got some other guys, but it's just that's going to be a long That's going to be tough. They're going to basically they can sit there and think, hey, maybe Mahomes has his third consecutive not good for him game. And if that's the case,
we had a whole conversation about what would happen if this happened.
Look, I'm going to be very real.
The lab's been here before.
I would own that. And so we've got possibilities here. But I'll tell you right now,
Tucker, where are you?
I'm a 39-year-old father of 5. Believe me, I would have no problems telling you if that was me.
Nate, your mic has a button on it. You can hit that mute button, and no one knows what happens when that button's muted.
No, I don't need the button.
That's fine.
Chiefs 23, Chargers 16.
And man, I miss doing that podcast with Nate. That was remember that.
Oh yeah, he is gone. He's taking care of his child now. He's got to go.
Remember when we had a podcast with Nathaniel Taylor?
I think it ended in an explosive moment in late September 2024.
Look, sometimes you eat a lot for lunch, and you think you can slide one by, but there's a little more resistance there than you're thinking. And I'm glad Nate's going to change his shorts, which these.
Let me see if did the comments get there with us. Let's okay. We heard that. I heard that. I thought I was hearing things. Steph heard that. All right, cool.
I think that this game spooks me because it's such a weird game. The Chiefs are on paper better than the Chargers.
Yeah, finish your thought. This is gonna.
They are on paper better than the Chargers, but they've been playing weird games, man. This on paper is a get right game for Mahomes. Usually Mahomes has get right games though against like really good defenses, where suddenly it's like, oh, I'm gonna throw 17 consecutive incredible passes, and you're like, oh, well, okay, he's fine. I just have a goofy feeling that they're a week or two away from using Xavier Worthy as much and in a manner in which I think they should be. I don't think that's going to happen until after the bye week. Nate would be here to tell me, but again, he needed a shower. And
his home is currently being fumigated, and so he had to leave.
Maybe he went to go eat a fiber bar, maybe. Have some
Anita said trap game in the comments, and I wasn't sure what she was talking about at first.
Trap game, like. So, I don't know. It seems like a weird game, but I'm gonna say the Chiefs do just enough. I'm going to say 23-17 Chiefs in a game that is just distinctly weird.
Adam in the chat says, first Seth was beat off multiple times. Now Nate soils himself. What's on the slate for you, Josh? Hey, good news, Adam. I snuck mine by early. You got to go back to the archives and play the ARG.
Yeah.
My great shame was in late 2023. No more hints.
Yeah. I've got.
I don't know what I'm gonna do this. I got to do something to keep up my end of the bargain here.
I've got a way to take us out here because we've both given our predictions and Nate's gone. So
so is his home and family and
the one thing about this game with the Chiefs playing weird games they've had weird games against the Chargers in the past. Their last 10 games have been really close. I think. Given the talent disparities on these teams, though, the Chiefs, the only way they could really probably lose this game is if they crap themselves.
We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Well, Seth and